Say what you like about the Cosmic Toy Man, he's got a lovely taste in bags.
Now, long-time viewers of this channel will recall that I have a bit of a soft spot for this chap, who I think of as Asbats. And he was a very sort of time-limited incarnation of the Batman who wasn't actually the Batman. But he stepped in and filled the role of Batman for a limited amount of time before Bruce Wayne came back and claimed the mantle of the Bat. Now, I'm not quite sure where this Azrael fits into the grand scheme of things, because Azrael was his normal name before he took on the mantle of Asbats. And this strikes me, given the nature of the Bat figure that's in the background there, as being linked to the animated series. And I think there was a thing like the Further Adventures of, or something like that. I don't know if it actually says on the back here. There's very little on the back. It's just this sort of rather orangey animated Batman on the back of it there. So I don't know that this was an Asbats version of Azrael, or it's just Azrael who happens to be wearing something very, very similar to Asbats' armour. Now, the Asbats that I know is actually this chap, who I also got from Gareth a while ago now. But as you'll see, this guy is a DC Multiverse Azrael with Batman armour. Now, this is the guy, he's a McFarlane Toys version. Now, this is much more comic accurate in terms of the comic that I'm referring to. Now, this guy he's got these sort of huge shoulder pads going on. I don't know what that's all about, but as you can see, his sort of head is a very similar sculpt to this one, and he has the right sort of triangular sort of shield on his chest there, which doesn't have the bat symbol on it. So I think they are intended to be the same version of the overall armour. They're just sculpted slightly differently, slightly different emphasis on different areas. And this guy comes with some spare fists as well. So this is a DC Collectibles Azrael, and I believe that so it's actually subtitled Batman: The Adventures Continue. So I don't know if this is toys only, or if there was an animation of this guy as well. I'm not quite sure. So answers in the comments, please, on this one. But I think Gareth said to me that this one was quite hard to get in the UK because they didn't ship as many to the UK for whatever reason. So this one seems to be a sort of pure DC Collectibles version. Now I wonder who actually produces it. So it's definitely got a Batman the Animated Series link up there, because you can see from the bottom there's a leaflet which suggests that. Sculpted by Paul Harding. It's got the number 52 on it, which presumably is just Batman: The Adventures Continue Azrael DC Collectibles. But who's it actually produced by? Manufactured in Guangdong, China. So I guess this is just a sort of an outsourced DC Collectibles licensed figure produced in China, and that seems to be it. So yeah, it's I'm just going to get down to its level. I'm just sort of looking at it in terms of overall size. It looks shorter than the other Azrael figures. They're not quite the same scale, I don't think. So a little bit different, slightly different overall approach as well, because the one on the left doesn't have any additional fists, for example. I'm not quite sure why it's got additional fists. They're just slightly more open hands, I think, really. So it seems a rather sort of pointless accessory, really. I would have given him different gauntlets, or even a different head, a head without the cowl on it or something. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I definitely prefer this one because it's more comics accurate to my mind than this one is. But I get that it would be different because this is going for realism, whereas this is the animated series, so it would look different. They would be different styles. So I do kind of get that. But you can see that both are essentially the same character. So curious one. I might need to do a bit more research about Batman: The Adventures Continue, because it's definitely not one of the series that I'm familiar with. So there's some background story to that I'm just not familiar with. So that was one thing. What else did I pick up? Now, I picked this up, and to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not entirely sure why I did. And the reason I say that is because I do like Robotech, but this figure is a bit rubbish, quite frankly, to my mind. It's supposed to be a VF-1A Veritech fighter in its Batroid mode, yeah. So it's a 3 3/4 action figure. Now, I keep reading this as reflection. I know it's not reflection. I know it's actually reaction. But for some reason, whenever I see it, the way it's written looks like it's an FL rather than just an A to me. I don't know, but it's a sort of cutesy little Veritech fighter, I suppose, or Veritech sort of Batroid. It's not the one I normally associate with Robo, because even on the cover here, you see that's the more standard configuring of their weapons on either side of the head, and it doesn't have this sort of visor bit is a bit odd as well. So I don't know why it's just got this single stalk coming up off the head unit. It's really odd. It doesn't, they haven't bothered with the cockpit canopy particularly. The arms are all right. The legs are sort of okay, but it's not. The legs are normally longer than that, I feel. It's like they've done it in a sort of as a standard humanoid figure. The best thing about this is the artwork on the front. And maybe that's what actually attracted me to it. I got it. It's one of those ones where I sort of got it home and I'm thinking, why? Why did I? And apparently this is an adult collectible, not a toy. That is literally what it says. It's an adult collectible, not a toy. So you can't play with it. You can only collect it, apparently. So, yeah. I don't know. But I do like the artwork. And here we discover that there are various other items of Robotech goodness. So why that isn't on the front cover when this is what this one is, I don't know. Now, do you know what? I'd never put 2 and 2 together. So this is Super 7. Okay. You see, I don't get that many of the modern action figures. So that's why I'm surprised by that. So the VF-1A is the standard Veritech fighter. Is it? Of the United Earth Defense Forces, nicknamed Brownies. These can be identified by a single laser cannon on its head turret, yes, and were the primary workhorses that defended the Earth from the Zentradi. Max Sterling, Ben Dixon and Jack Archer were heroes of the Robotech Wars who piloted the VF-1A. So I guess it must be, is it the VF-1J I'm more used to? But then none of those actually look like the Robotech fighter that I remember. Maybe the VF-1S is the one I'm thinking of, actually, that I'm sort of more familiar with, but the pictures aren't great on the back here. That's the mothership, the SDF-1, which of course will be in exactly the same scale as this one is, which is completely daft. But that's probably just a way of it with this little version of it. And there's one enemy, so there's one Zentradi battle pod, and that's it. But I mean, I suppose it's all right, The only problem is I still lack a way in which I can sort of helpfully display my action figures, and it hasn't been punched, so I couldn't even sort of put it on a hook, even if I had a means of standing it up like that. So that's one for me to think on, I think. But it wasn't a lot, so I picked that up fairly happily. Now, you might recall from my hour-long shop prowling video that outside the shop, when I went to visit, were these. And you may be hearing the sounds that meant I was considering buying something, so of course I did. So we have one graphic novel, which you can't really see. Bear with me. These are probably not going to want to stand up, but maybe if I do that. So I've got The Heavy Mob, which I think are going to be sort of like Terminator judges, effectively. I haven't actually read these yet. I've got Mandroid, which I think is going to be a sort of an android version of Judge Dredd. And I've also got beyond the Mega City one here as well. So these are colour on the inside, although they look like they're sort of, more monochrome on the front. They're not. They are actually colour on the inside. The We Are the Law one I was attracted to because one of my very clear memories when I was collecting Judge Dredd, well, 2000 AD in general, obviously, was there were times when he went abroad. So there were other megacities apart from Megacity 1 in America that had survived the apocalypse, basically. And they have their own judges, but their judges have different uniforms, as you can see. So that's a British judge. So when he goes abroad, he often actually puts on the uniforms of the judges in the country he's in order to blend in. So getting 3 for 10 quid was a complete no-brainer, quite frankly, because if you're even vaguely into your Judge Dredd, getting that much dread for that little, it would have been rude not to, as I said to Gareth. So I have those to work through at some point, along with everything else. But just thought I'd show you those because the cover artwork alone is very, very cool, and I'm sure that they're going to be of an era that I enjoy the artwork inside as well. Because I collected 2000 AD for quite a while. It's not really an area that I've delved into with you overly much, but at some point I dare say I will get round to it because I've still got quite a few of my both rebought and original 2000 ADs. Now then, a couple of examples of things here which I hadn't really intended to pick up, but I was in that sort of mood. Now this fulfills one of my requirements for things I'm collecting in general, and in that respect, I'm trying to collect examples of ideally original, but in this respect, I couldn't really do original, toys from the cartoon series that I did little summaries of on my website, sfxb.co.uk, back in the day. So I've got examples of things like Street Hawk and A-Team, because I did action shows as well, but I also did various cartoons, of which one was Dungeons and Dragons. So I have here a Hank, and I was all ready to get a sealed one when Gareth very kindly pointed out to me that if I was doing it for the sake of showing you guys a Hank sort of unboxed in due course, he actually had one that had already been opened but had this packaging, so that I wouldn't have the classic sort of do I unbox it dilemma, which is often problematic in these situations. So you very kindly fished this one out for me. So I can in due course show you one of these Hank figures. Now, I have heard some negative tales about the quality of these figures. So I've always been a little bit slow to pick them up. And indeed, this is the only one I have ever picked up for exactly that reason. But it looks like it's pretty cool sculpt. And I remember the idea that he could fire sort of energy arrows I found really cool, because it meant he could never run out of ammo. Nice. For an archer, that's nice. It's Dungeons and Dragons. I don't think I watched every episode, but I do have very clear childhood memories of it as a series, and I'm sure a lot of you do as well. So I'm quite looking forward to having a closer look at that on another video. But as I'm just really doing sort of a general overview of the pickups from Cosmic Toys this time round, I'm not going to go into any greater depth on that one right now, and I'm not going to look at it in more detail right now. But it's cool. It's cool. I think they look nice on the shelf as well, because you get that artwork going along if you have sort of multiple figures. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Okay. What else? Now, this is another one that's literally saw it on the stairs as I was going downstairs, and I looked at it and I asked Gareth how much it was, and it was remarkably reasonable, like barely into double figures reasonable. So this is a robot enhanced design Optimus Prime, RED Optimus Prime, and it doesn't transform, but for me personally, he looks absolutely sort of bob on to the 80s cartoon Prime. So I thought, yeah, I can live with him not transforming, because quite frankly, the Optimus Prime from that era did not really resemble the cartoon/comics version that we got at that time. So actually, given that he also comes with all this cool stuff to plug into his arm, So not only has he got sort of different fists, he's also got his energy axe, and he's got his rifle there as well, and he's got a creation matrix, or the matrix of leadership, depending on your view of things, which will fit inside him as well. So I am actually very, very happy to get hold of that, and will be unboxing him in due course. Now, I'm sure he's been out for a while. I don't believe that he is particularly new. I'm just having a quick scan for a year, and this might be one of the times when you see a year before I do, because there's a very dense block of text there. Let me just see, can I pick out a year from there? Copyright 2020 Hasbro. So yeah, it's been out for a few years then, from the looks of it, if that is indeed 2020. You see that there? Yeah, that's 2020. So 4 years old. But if he's halfway decently posable, which it looks like he is, I think that's quite a nice piece. I think that's quite good fun. So yes, it goes against the grain somewhat that he's not transformable, but I like the artwork on it. I think it's that, it's nice that they can display him like that in his robot form, because of course that's the only form he can take in this particular iteration of him. So I just like that as a concept. So that's one I will definitely be unboxing in due course, because that's definitely intended for shelf display to my mind. So I'm definitely going to have a little bit of fun with that. Maybe I'll pick up a Megs at some point as well. Maybe I'll build a dam. Who knows? But anyway, if you know in fact, if you know the comics and the cartoon, you'll appreciate that comment. What else did I come away with? Ah, yes, mustn't forget this actually. Gareth gave me a Thunderbirds annual because he wanted to clear some space. Thanks, Gareth. So I might have a look at that at some point. Add that to my already humongous pile of annuals. It's not like I don't have any annuals already, but I'll have a look at that one as well in due course. Now, this is a little thing I picked up, and you might be. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Oh, hang on. I think it's lost something in transit. Yes, it has. Okay, that's good. At least it did retain it. I'm just hoping it isn't actually broken, because that would be irritating. Because I don't think it was when I picked it up. Oh no, okay, got it. Cool. Now this, I think I've seen this in the shop before, but I haven't put two and two together. And you might have noticed it in the shop tour video. This is Starcom. I've never owned Starcom before, and I just noticed this little Starcom insignia on it when I was doing the shop tour, and I thought, oh, that's Starcom. That's cool. So I picked it up because I don't know if you remember this, but this is a magnet. And what I had never realised about Starcom, I think I saw someone else's video months ago now, was that it actually had a lot of very clever technology built into it. So when the pieces were put together, they kind of reacted with each other, and then actions happened, and things got interesting basically. And even looking at this now, I can see there's a hinge there. So I bet if you link it up to something else happens, and things start opening up, and in fact, I'm like wary of. I'm not sure this cockpit piece actually does open. I'm just a bit wary about doing anything with it. But the engine looks like it depresses for some reason that I'm not aware of. The wings kind of fold into the sides there as well. So I'm guessing that when you sort of pair it up with something else, Starcom-esque, it probably kind of reacts, and then different things happen off the back of it. Because there's definitely little button there that looks like it ought to do something. Oh, there we go. Look, so that opens like that. Okay, so you've got a little bit of sort of detail on the inside there as well, which says stand clear. But I have no idea. That's very sort of ratchety. So I've no idea in the grand scheme of things what. Ooh, okay. So right. Okay, so that clicks in there. So now it's fixed. So I have no idea whether or not this fixes onto something else to help make something bigger, or quite what the crack is with it. And then it'll flick out like that when you press that down. Right, okay. So I'm working out the functionality as I go here. But I say I never had any of these when I was little. So this is actually my first ever piece of Starcom in my hand, which is nice. I've seen, I'm vaguely familiar with it as a concept. I know that it was very sort of magnetized, and it sort of used that kind of idea for figures attaching to ships and stuff like that. And some of the ships do look very cool, but it's quite expensive stuff to get now. So I'm not quite sure if it's a rabbit hole I want to go down, but for the sake of being able to say I've got a bit of it and it's a spaceship and it's cool, I can say that I've got some Starcom in my collection. So there is that. Now, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, people in between, I have got another item from the Cosmic Toy Man, and it is, of course, the Cosmic Toy Man. Oh yes. So here we are. Here he is, look, the Cosmic Toy Man Daring Adventures in Space. Only available at Cosmic Toys, ladies and gentlemen. So Cosmic Toy Man action figure with his jetpack, of course, on the back. Ooh, there's a jetpack, and what else is... Oh no, there's that just in... What else is in the back there? It looks like he's got a sort of a... There's something... There's like a pole there as well. That's cool. I have no idea what that's supposed to be for. Oh, he's got his gun in there as well. I think there's a laser pistol in the back there with it as well. That's cool. And Gareth has very kindly signed this for me, but it's quite funny because you can only really see it when you shine light on it. But I said to him, that's not a bug, that's a feature of the silvery pen he used, because it made me chuckle that you can only really see that when it lights up, because otherwise it just looks like you've got the sort of the untainted background on the card. So I thought that was actually quite a funny thing. And he's also got this nice holographic sticker on it, which again I think is a very sort of it's a very 80s touch. It's like a sort of Visionaries kind of holographic sticker, which is brilliant, even though it's modern. So I like that as a concept as well. And on the back, we've got the Cosmic Cowboys being advertised with Cosmic Toy Man in the middle of them. So he's become, it's a sword. Okay, so it's an official accessory, that little thing that I was noticing there. So we've got him there with Voidbot, Buzzard, Sergeant Alpha Cody, and Iron Jaw. And Space Raiders are also involved. There you go, like the Crisps possibly, I don't know. And it's got a very, very subtle bit of advertising on the back there, ladies and gentlemen, as well. That's cool. I mean, I just like that, and it was a nice way to support Gareth fairly sort of directly, given that A, he's put a lot of effort into getting these produced, and obviously B, it's exclusive to his store, so it would have been rude not to, quite frankly. So yeah, very cool. Next time, it might be nice if the bubble would sort of hold this up, because one thing I have noticed about 80s toys recently, actually, which I've never really sort of thought about before as a concept, is that a lot of them do have bubbles on the front that allow you to just prop them up. So it's like even back then they were thinking about, how do we sort of do that in a way which would allow people to just stack them if they didn't have pegs. You'll notice that this is unpunched because it looks like it's not ever designed to be punched. But it would be cool if the just had a little bit more plastic on the bottom of it, and then it would sort of sit upright, wouldn't it? But anyway, one for the future. That one, perhaps future versions of the Cosmic Toy Man could incorporate that amendment. What do you think, Gareth? Let me know. So there we go. So that's a very, very suitable ending, I think, to my Cosmic Toys pickups on this particular occasion. Very happy with what I've got. I've got loads of reading material. I've got action figures to ponder, because I don't normally go action figure-y, especially not in their packaging, but the packaging is nice. And ironically, I'm not sure I'd want to get the Batman out of his packaging, because I think it's a part of the the sort of the presentation of that is very much his packaging. So I'm not really sure. I've got a few Azraels loose, so I've got some I can do stuff with, but I don't actually have any with that sort of. Well, no, actually, I'm looking at one that does have that sort of armor style that is loose. It's not very well articulated though compared to the others, so maybe I'll need to pick up a spare at some point. But anyway, that's for another time. So I don't want this to go on as long as the tour video did, so I'm going to call it a day there. And I'll see you again for another video next week now. Cheers for now. Do like and subscribe.